Aloha kako. Welcome back to another Mo'olelo Monday. Um, it's been a while. It's been, I believe, a month since my last recording, since my last video. Let me fix this really quick. It's been about a month since my last recording, and things have just been pretty crazy recently for me. I'm just trying to get everything that I need to get done. I mean, this is a big push since it's the last quarter of school. Work is work, and unfortunately, that's exactly what it's become, is work. Yeah, maybe today we should make this Mo'olelo Monday about Hana, about work. Yeah, then work is something that we do to provide for our families and, to make a living. And it's been in pretty rough, just trying to find something that not only, well, I'm pretty sure this matches for a lot of people, or this resonates with a lot of people, but just trying to find a work that you will actually enjoy doing, so you can earn money while you are, not really stressing out. Yeah, it's just something that you're enjoying, or it's not like tedious. It's not like a stressful job where you have all this responsibility, too much responsibility that you're even you're being compensated for. And then of course you have the work that's tedious and no one wants to do it because it's so mindless. You kind of end up zoning out most of the time during work. Your work day is just eating away at your life. Yeah, you get home and you want to do something, but you're either mentally, physically, or just some kind of exhaustion kicks in, and it doesn't allow you to truly express or truly be who you want to be. So a lot of times work ends up being work rather than being a passion or being something that you love to do. It's become a job. It becomes boring, becomes tedious, it becomes frustrating or stressful, and all these things slowly lead to breaking down. Right, you end up making yourself sick. It's amazing how something external like going to work, or even having open communication with somebody every day that you can't stand talking to. I've had moments like that, which is actually how I ended up working for the school. So I ended up at this school about a decade ago, and before this, I worked at the city. I was working at the Fosse Municipal Building in the motor pool. I used to police the public parking areas as well as the employees parking. I used to walk around and cite people who had infractions like expired time on their meters, or even parking in places that they shouldn't, like handicapped, disabled zones or access areas, and even citing people for having expired registrations and safety checks. So not really a job that a lot of people are happy with when you're doing it right. Yeah, I used to have a lot of people who would basically complain and cry and moan about getting cited, and I understand. I mean, they're busy trying to get their work done too, right? Trying to grab all of their what do you call it? They're trying to get their permits for building, their permits for camping. I mean, like, all these people are just trying to improve their lives. And here I am walking around the public area looking for expired meters and just citing people, causing them more harm, more stress, because they're coming to a bustling area that's irritating to find parking at. They don't put enough coins inside the meter, and it's not their fault that, of course, our departments are like totally like booked, and you gotta wait hours before you actually see somebody to actually get a permit or whatever, move along to the next step, the next phase. And it's just red tape. It's just trying to do things the right way, and you end up being penalized and punished. It's like, why can't the parking just be if you're going in for business, that's it. Business should validate it, but nah, kind of sucked. That was the moment of my last job that really that it sucked for other people. It didn't really suck for me. I mean, yeah, I used to get like sworn at and aggressed upon, threatened, but it didn't really, that kind of stuff didn't really bother me, because I was doing my job, and so other aspects of my duties, I used to, of course, work in the motor pool, make sure that the cars were fully ready for city workers to take them out for whatever inspections or stuff that they had to do. So that was cool. A lot of times we ended up doing meetings for safety in case there were natural disasters, hurricanes, or tsunamis and stuff like that. So that was pretty interesting. That was an interesting part of working inside the security detail of a motor pool. But one of the things, and I never really made this like apparent, especially not working at with the city, especially not working there, because I actually moved over from working with the state because I was teaching Hawaiian Studies and Art at Ka'ilani Elementary School at the time when I moved over to working as an electrician. I had gotten accepted into the IEBEW, whatever that stuff is for the electricians, and unfortunately, when I started working for a particular company that put up solar voltaic paneling up on roofs and stuff, I had realized that when we went to this one house that was like 3 stories and on the side of a hill up in Waikai or something like that, I can't remember, Hana. I remember looking over the side of the building, and my vision had just completely, I'd never experienced anything like that. It completely blurred to the point where I panicked and I fell back and almost fell off the roof. And it was funny because the guy that was in charge at the time was concerned because of what I had gone through. And I had only been there for maybe about a month before I finally experienced this, because most of the roofs that we were servicing were maybe 1 story, 2 story, which doesn't really bother me. But when we're up on the 3rd story with that cliff alongside that that home, I was just like, I guess that was too much for me, and my vision just kind of, something in my brain just kind of like flipped, and yeah, almost dropped off that roof. But I needed to go back and talk to the HR, and unfortunately my career as an electrician had come to an end at that point, because when I had asked if I could move down to working the panels and stuff on the system that the rig that goes up against the wall, the guy was like, no can do, because most of the people that start working as electricians, they start from the top and work their way down. They go from the roof and come down to the floor. And I was like, oh, totally understandable. So unfortunately it wasn't a right fit for me. So instead of going back to working with the state at the school doing Hawaiian Studies and teaching art and stuff like that, I decided to apply other places. I applied for Kamehameha Schools, I applied for the city, and it was funny because I get a call soon after being released from the electrician's job to do a panel interview at the city. So it was fun. It was interesting. And it was funny because the 3 different places that I applied for all called me in for an interview. The Kamehameha Schools one, I didn't even get past the interview. Like once they saw my abilities as a worker over there, they were like, nah, it's okay. We're gonna move in a different direction with somebody else, which was cool. But they were all panels, and I thought it was pretty interesting because that was like the first time in my life I had ever applied for a job that there was more than just one person interviewing me at the time. So I thought Kamehameha Schools was cool because it would seem like a good practice. So when I interviewed for the electrician's work, they were all happy with me. They were like, oh yeah, this is the kind of attitude that we're looking for and whatnot. So when I got the job there, I was totally stoked. I was really looking forward to that because they get paid well, and it's a lot of work, especially with solar voltaic. The thing was taking off at the time when I started working there. So I was like, oh yeah, a lot of jobs to get. And unfortunately, that didn't pan out. And so instead of moving back to the state, I got actually called in for the city interview. I went to that interview, and that went off pretty well. The guys that were interviewing me were very, very nice, and I got the job. And I started working at the motor pool, and I was there past my probation. I've acquired, full time work working with the city. Of course, working at the motor pool, it's not like the most glamorous or well paying gigs. Definitely didn't pay as well as the electricians did, but it was a job. It was full time. Yeah, it was with the government, so that's even better, right? Because the government never shuts down, so at least there's security and having a job, right? A lot of things were kind of like going crazy back in the day. Yeah, when it came to security, anyway, security that was part of our detail, was making sure that the buildings and everything were secure, and so yeah, I'd only stay there for a few years because like I was saying, the job itself, well, first of all, it was tedious. It had a lot of downtime. That my boss used to joke about sitting and counting rather than city and county, because they're sitting and counting the money as they just, you know, downtime, right? Just relaxing and waiting for something to go down. But anyway, I never let that stop me from finding myself things to do. I tried to keep myself busy because the days would be super long if I didn't find myself work. And I was the type of person who, well, I am the type of person who cannot really sit still. I need to constantly create or something, or else my brain just starts taking over. But during these long walks throughout the parking structures and around the facilities, I would have in my head things that were going on, like, well, is this a job I see myself doing for the rest of my life? Do I see myself, is this something that, or am I just going to become like the rest of the workers that were in the office, are just kind of like, sitting and counting as they make their money? But I always felt like there was something greater that I needed to be doing, something bigger that I wanted to do, which is why working with the Spooky Kind Investigations, it kind of gave me like kind of a purpose, kind of it worked well with my heart. Like, it was something that I was passionate about. I was passionate about it because it was something that helped me to relieve a lot of what I was experiencing growing up. Yeah, I mean, I was able to go out on investigations, and like I was said in other videos, it helped me to free myself in understanding that when I do hear or see weird things, they actually really do happen, because we'd check back on our devices, and those things would validate my experiences by being there. Other people never heard them at the time, but the recorder did, and the recorder picked it up just as much as I heard it. So, but not always. I mean, like, there were some times where the recorder would pick up the same word or the same words that I heard, but it would sound different than what it sounded like in my ears. Like, I would say, oh, it sounded like a kid saying hello. And then, like, when you play it back on the recorder, it's like a gravelly voice saying hello. Like, it wasn't the same tone, but it was the same word. But it plays differently in my head than it did, and maybe that has to do with things trying to hide their real intention. Yeah, maybe this recording picked up the true sound of whatever it was that this thing was, and it was trying to trick me into thinking it was a kid when in actuality it was something else. Yeah? But these are the kinds of things that intrigue me, and these are the kinds of things that help to, help to make my brain, like, kind of chill, because I've always been the type of person who's been kind of, like, involved in problem solving and solving puzzles, or just, the whole idea of like art. Like, art has always been a therapeutic thing for me, and trying to come up with different ways, trying to come up with the composition, trying to build it, this three-dimensional action onto a two-dimensional plane. It's always been fascinating, and I've always been interested and intrigued in that. I've always wanted to get into animation. I'd love watching cartoons growing up, and when video games came out, I used to play like Mario Brothers and stuff like that. I used to see the animation in that, and how to get these colors to move around and to bring people so much joy. I used to spend a lot of my time hanging out at the arcades And a lot of times, I mean, like 90% of the time that I'd be at the arcade, because I used to live at Pully Lanes in Kailua on Hikili Street, I used to 90% of the time I used to just watch other people play. I used to just watch other people play and just watch their um, enjoyment of solving these problems and dodging these things, and it's just really that to me was a lot, was just as fun as actually enjoying the playing uh, playing the game as well. I got just as much joy watching people playing it as playing it. So yeah, growing up, that was kind of my deal. And it's like, well, that's what I enjoy in life. That's my passion. How do you find a job where um, watching someone playing something or doing something, getting joy? How do you find a job like that? What kind of job is there that offers you the ability to watch others have fun and then you get paid for it? There really isn't any, right? And that's the thing, is I love when people are happy. I love seeing people smile. I love hearing laughter. These are the kinds of things that just bring me joy. And so I'm like, well, maybe this motor pool slash security job isn't really for me, because I'd always be thinking as I'm patrolling and whatnot, like, what else could I be doing? Like, this can't be it for me. This can't be it for me. I feel like I need to do more, right? Because before that, when I was working at the school, I was kind of living vicariously through the kids, right? I mean, I enjoy working with the youth. They're fun. Um, and having to see their aha moments when they finally get something, especially in art, when you see them kind of like, wow, if I do this and do that, then, they start experimenting with and solving these puzzles with their colors and their shapes and whatnot. It just blows my mind. It's very fun to watch. And so that kind of was like the closest thing that I could get um, to having satisfaction inside my work. Is seeing these children actually understanding, getting the understanding going in their head and using it. And it was really, really cool to see when they start putting posters up in the school, when they start doing projects with their teachers. You can really see the influence that um, they learned being put onto papers and being used, like in a what's it called, a real world way. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of things that growing up when we were learning, we didn't really have the opportunity to practice any of the things that we learned. It was this is this and this is this and that and that and this and that. And it's like, okay, but when am I going to use this? When is this information going to come in handy? Right? And then later when you go to high school and whatnot, some people have it. Now, I'm not saying that, the school system and everything just didn't provide me anything useful or valuable in growing up, but it definitely wasn't a place where I thrived, right? A lot of especially like language arts and stuff like that, a lot of it was kind of forced upon you. And like in the beginning, it was kind of cool because you got to read these really these picture books, right? And I like the pictures because I like art. But you read these books and you get a sense of what the moral is and what the values are behind these stories, and it's great. It's wonderful. Um, but words have never really helped me to create in my head. I've never been able to, because I don't really understand the language. Like, English has never been easy for me, and I always wondered why I struggled so much in school. And you know, on top of certain things that are going on up here with how my brain works, I've never really found it comfortable, like reading books and stuff, because I couldn't really find anything that I was interested in anyway. I mean, like the closest thing that we had to, well, us as Hawaiians, had in the way of books back in the day was, I guess, when you're talking about people of color, was like civil rights and movements and stuff like that, and that's something that didn't really happen here in Hawaii. Yeah, we didn't really have those moments where people were prejudiced. I mean, there were people who would say racist things and whatnot, but it was kind of like in a joking way. It's stuff that you can definitely not say today, because there's so many people who would be like hurt. But back in the day, we used to see it as, you know, stereotypes were fun. They were kind of fun to um, poke to poke cheese at, and everyone had their fair share of stereotypes, and some of those things were very obvious that they were true. But there were a lot of things that were, especially focused at Hawaiians and stuff like that, that were definitely not true, you know. But anyway, getting away from the whole political aspect of being Hawaiian, it was difficult. It was really difficult for me, especially getting into reading and stuff like that. And so, one of the things that moved me from working at the city was the fact that I didn't really feel like I was accomplishing much in my heart as a passion. Getting home, I was physically tired because I would do a lot of walking. I would do like 9 miles of walking a day, and it was good, kept me fit. That's the cool thing. I can't, So, but when I came from the city and started working over here at this school, about 10 years ago, I was in pretty good shape. Now that I've been working inside this place where I got a desk job and all that, I just picked up some weight, but that's not the only thing that I picked up. I picked up stress too, because all this planning, all these things that I had in my head as to what I wanted to do while I was walking the perimeter of the city. I wanted to bring those creative ideas here to the school, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to. There was just not enough time. Not enough time. I mean, like, the teachers here at this school, they have a lot on their plate, like an immense amount of work on their plate. And I feel so bad because, I'm on YouTube and watch my shows and stuff and see every once in a while, like, a video for education will pop up and people just downplay and just badmouth public education, like, every chance they get. And you know what? Hey, if you had a bad experience in public school, like I've had many experiences in public school that have just been complete, doodle. If you've had experiences like that, but all through your career in school and never finding that one person like I found in Kumuokaka, my Hawaiian studies teacher, Haoli. If you didn't find that one person to kind of bring you out of that, then your entire education is just, you know what I mean? It's just gonna be a bad mark in your entire life, and it's the majority of your upbringing, right? Is staying at school, being with an adult that is basically like a second parent, because they're watching you, right, for most of the day. And what it ends up coming down to is, man, there's these teachers have just been pressured into doing so much. I mean, they've got professional development up the wazoo. I mean, like, they're teachers and they're still going through education themselves. They're still going to school. Luckily, fortunately, the state pays for these developments. But I mean, like, when you go to school and you come out to get a job, I mean, like, you're not interested in going to school more unless you enjoy academics, and unless you enjoy that kind of learning. If you're cool with that kind of learning, then this job is for you, man. I mean, but other than the fact that they're just piled on with additional things to learn, they have to execute all these things, and these things that I think that are being tasked upon them, I think it's unfair, and the unions and stuff are supposed to be here to kind of make things fair for the teachers, through not being taken advantage of. But I think with the unions, it seems like they're doing so many, they're trying to compromise so much. They're trying to compromise so much to make sure that the teachers get their fair wage, that they're basically burying the teachers even deeper. The teachers want more. Yeah, well, everybody needs more. But you know why? Because it's expensive to live here in Hawaii. And so everyone is trying to find a job that doesn't suit them. They're just trying to find a job that's pays a lot of money, so that they can survive here in paradise, right? What people call paradise. And it's just not working, It's just more stress. It's more expensive and more expensive. And I hate to say it, but a lot of Hawaiians get priced out of Hawaii and they move away. What is it? Las Vegas or whatever the hell, Nevada, Seattle, Washington. Those are like, they call them like the second Hawaii or whatever the hell they call it. This is just kind of pisses me off, because no, it's not the second Hawaii. This is Hawaii. And if you guys haven't figured it out yet, The reason why we are who we are and we look like the way we look like isn't because we came from a seed of a tree that fell and sprouted us. No, we actually come from the same exact place. We're all the same people. So why do we look so differently? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because of where you live. You live in a place for so long, and your families have generations and generations. If you didn't know this, I'm sorry if you do know this, and I'm just like preaching to the choir. But you live in a place for so long that your body adapts to the energy in that area. You should be eating the foods and living the life in that area that suits your needs. And I notice that family members, they get hapa, they mixed family, they call it hapa. And you have people from the mainland and people from Hawaii getting married and having kids, and a lot of times the kids with the more fair skin, they tend to move away. They tend to move back to the north because Hawaii is just too damn hot. And then of course the kids that are browner, darker skin, they're cool with being here. They're happy with being here because their bodies were generally made for this kind of environment. They took the DNA from their parents. One kid ended up, okay, well, your one parent is from this place and your other parent's from this place, so that's the way you're mixed. That's the way you're gonna be. And I really don't honestly believe that everyone gets the same exact mixture. Your brothers and sisters, even though we have the same DNA in us, I don't think we actually turn on all the right boxes. You know what I'm saying? Click the boxes. Which ones do you want? Do you want to have? Because I'm the only person inside my siblings that has black hair. Everyone else has red hair, and I'm like, that's interesting. My older brother, my two sisters, they have red hair. So, in fact, back when we were younger, my siblings used to tell me all the time, like, "Oh, you adopted." But they used to find it funny to make fun of me like that. But anyway, getting back to work and how work has become work and less passion. If we all had the ability to make the money that we needed to survive, doing what we love to do, then everybody would be so much happier. We wouldn't have all these stresses. We wouldn't need to pay for all these people to come and give us therapy. We don't have to pay for all these people to give us what's it called, physical workouts. You know what I mean? Like these trainers and stuff like that help people lose weight, and these people that count calories for you and build your menus and help you to drive to work and all this stuff. If you actually worked in a place that you were happy, you wouldn't have all these issues, and we wouldn't need all these other people, who are miserable with their lives and their jobs, telling us that this is how we should live and this is what we should try, because everyone's different. You can't tell one person because ABC works that it's going to work for you too, because we're all different. And getting into the world of the spiritual, that's exactly the kinds of things that we come upon when we are involved in an investigation, when we go out on a ghost hunt. All these spirits are all different. They're just like you and me. They all are looking for a sense of respect. Respect plays a huge deal when it comes, and I've said this before in other videos about the ghost hunting and stuff like that, is a lot of times the spirits in the area, the energy in the area, feel disrespected by whoever comes along and is taking flash photography, is talking ill about their family members, is saying what a dump the place is that they live in, all these different kinds of whatever it is that these people are saying, doing, or acting at. It's causing a disrespect in the area, and it's making whatever upset, and it causes things to act out. So irritating. But anyway, yeah, so for the teachers that are working here where I am at, they've got a lot on their plate, and I feel bad for them. I do. I truly feel I feel bad for the amount of stuff that they have to go through in order to just do their job, and all the life and all the love and all the passion of teaching just kind of gets sucked out of this thing. And you have a whole bunch of teachers who are miserable, who are trying to teach these kids, and these kids just want to play and have fun. I mean, that's every kid though, right? They all want to have fun, even the ones that are like trying to like, oh, stop, we need to be learning, we need to listen to teacher. Even inside, they also want to have fun, but some kids more than others realize how important it is to get an education. Other kids just don't give a rip, right? And so once they see the teacher start stressing out and going through things, they start behaving in the same manner. So a teacher who has high stress, their kids are usually rowdy. And what does that do? That just makes more stress for the teacher, because it's just like, whoa, so what then? Sorry, I just got a text from my other half. Trying to figure out lunch. So, yeah, today is. I'm recording this Mo'olelo Monday on Friday. I was trying to record my Mo'olelo Mondays on Monday. That's what I was basically doing. And I was either recording before school started, on my lunch, or after school when the kids leave. And I just found out over the past few weeks that it's kind of impossible. It's kind of impossible for me to do that because I think more and more things were happening, and of course, wait, hang on, she's texting me again. I am recording now. So anyway, like I was saying, I'm here on a Friday. I don't normally work Fridays. I don't have any classes. I usually use this day as special events or cleaning up my area, but I haven't been as much because, as I was stating in the past before, with work is work, yeah, and this job has slowly turned more and more into work every single year. I've been getting things taken away from me, and this is something that I kind of wanted to touch on pretty soon. You know, I wanted to talk about this kind of soon because, yeah. So like I said before, I've been here for 10 years at this school, and in the capacity of teaching art, as well as other things. Like we do have extracurricular activities that the kids do at the school, and a lot of times I will do storytelling. We've done animation, we've done art, more art, like different kinds of art other than just what you learn in school, and like creating videos, PSAs, as well as language. I tried to do language and everything like that at this place, Hawaiian language. But yeah, so just trying to make sure that the kids can learn as much as they can from me, but also I don't get bored out of my mind doing the same things, monotonously, especially in this curriculum type of way. It kind of gets that boringness comes back in again, where you feel like you're stagnant because it's kind of like the same every year. You have your multiple grades, right? I do kindergarten through 6th grade, and each one has a different thing that I teach them, and so every year I'm basically teaching the same thing to a different group of kids, but same thing. And after a while, it's just like, well, I want to do something more. And so we had recently gotten a new boss, and I talked about this in a different video, but we had gotten a new boss last year, and so this is his 2nd year being here. Right now he's at on the Big Island doing the Big Island trip with the 4th grade, and they're checking out the volcano and all that. It's kind of cool. Something that my family missed out on because of the pandemic and all these other things that kept popping up. My 2 girls never got to go to Big Island, so it's nice that we take them on our own to teach them about the stuff. But anyway, if you can. No can. Find somebody who can. But yeah, so I mean, like, I've been trying all these years to keep things fresh, to keep things interesting, at least for me, and then of course to keep the kids learning in a safe place. And the one that it seems to be very popular, seems to come back every year, is the spooky storytelling. So I tell them, ghost stories and stuff like that had happened to me from baby time all the way up until like that morning if something weird would happen in my classroom. My classroom has interesting things that happens all the time. I mean, this whole school, it's in Kailua, so it's like probably built upon the bones of ancient peoples, right? Because the marshes were used as burial grounds, and this whole place could be a cemetery. But yeah, so I've been trying to find ways to keep work being less work and more passion. And so with these teachers and all the things that are being put on top of them to learn to do this and to activate that and to put this more into their curriculum, I've got this reasoning chart back here that just started up. They want us to use that in classes when we communicate with the children, like inspiring thought, yeah? But it's very mechanical. Everything is like kind of like a robotic. All these things are being manufactured in a lab, and they're expecting things to happen organically, but it ain't going to happen that way if you teach the kids like mostly around testing and how to get good scores when they're testing. You're going to lose the idea of how, when, what do I use this for again? Like, if you're just teaching them around a test, all they're going to be known to do well at is taking a test. And not just taking any test, taking these academic tests. They're going to go out into the into the wilds, into the community, and they're going to be lost, like completely lost. Like, what do I do? And this is the same boat I found myself on when I was growing up, is what do I do? And everyone, it seemed like everyone around me had an idea. Especially that dreaded question that used to be dreaded to me when I was growing up. It's like, what do you want to do when you get old? I says, what are you talking about? I'm just a kid. I want to do what I'm doing today. I'm alive today. I don't know if I'm going to be alive when I'm 20. I want to do something today, something that makes me happy today. And that's always been my thought. And I've slowly been conditioned over the years, right, to kind of think about the future and this and this and that and that. And it's kind of been building it up in the wrong way. Because all I'm doing is building myself into a hole, right? A lot of us are. A lot of us that work 9-to-5 jobs that don't have enough money to pay for food, pay for rent, or pay for our kids' education. I'm like, we're making decisions over here. It's like, what am I cutting? What am I taking away? And that's exactly what's happening at this school. What are we cutting? Are we cutting art? Are we cutting PE? Are we cutting music? Are we cutting library? Like, what are we doing? How are we getting the most education to these kids with the least amount of disturbance in their education? Well, we definitely can't get rid of the cores, right? We can't get rid of language arts or social studies or math. Like, those are the guaranteed necessities. So what else is there to cut, right? What else is there to get rid of so that we can stay above the water? Who do we toss off the boat so that the ship doesn't sink today? And every day, every year, every 10 years, a decade that goes by, it's the same story about people working their butts off to get nowhere. And that's basically what I've been doing all this time. I've been working my butt off. I've been trying to make myself happy in the process. And all of these things are just clashing, just clashing. Which is one of the reasons why I actually started writing my stories. The main reason for writing my stories was, first of all, like I was saying before, I didn't really have anything that I read that I could relate to growing up. And so my wife, as beautiful as she is, she tells me, honey, write these stories down so that other Kanaka Maoli like you, these kids who are growing up in Hawaii, and even if they're not Kanaka Maoli, even if they are just, foreign parents living here in Hawaii, at least they can read something that's about the area they're in, something that they could actually find interesting about their area. And I said, yeah, you're right. I should do that. And I can do it in a way that no other person from anywhere else in the world can do it unless they've actually lived here for generations, right? We have some people who come here, whether they're Japanese, Chinese, Portuguese, Filipino, Korean, and of course all the European ones too. There's just way too many to list, but all these people come over here and they see how fun and how interesting the culture is, and they want to write about it too. But when they write about it, it's kind of in a very very magical, this is a whole brand new world, everything is so different and exotic and blah blah blah, but they don't really touch on the parts that make the culture, right? They don't really understand why the Aloha spirit is so important here. Why does it exist in Hawaii? Why does something like the Aloha spirit exist? And a lot of people don't even know about the Aloha spirit. And it's the whole idea of us as generational people who live here on this island, trying to make do with what they have, and just praying that there's rain, fresh water to water their crops, to feed the animals that are here so that they can survive. I mean, that was the biggest stress, right? And then, of course, you had the random Ali'i who wanted to take everything of their own, right? They wanted to treat people differently. And so that's how, wars and everything would break out back in the day. It was just difference of opinion and how they're being disrespectful with their religion or their community and stuff like that. So it's always about how you treat people, and that comes back to the respect, right? Ho'ihi. The respect of the people. That's why it's such an important value in our lives, and that's something that's missing from schools. Um, if you don't respect yourself, you can't show respect to others. If you don't show respect to others, especially when you're teaching kids, they can't turn around and show respect in return. They can't be polite. They can't be uh, grateful, right, for all the things that they have if they are not shown any of it. If people are just always constantly nagging on them and just complaining about everything that they do, even when they try to express themselves through their arts, the way they dress, the way they speak, things that they listen to, they're always being downplayed and teased and bullied and stuff like that. And what a miserable life. What a miserable life that is. And unfortunately, respect has flown out the window, gone, right? So it's been pretty nuts. And like I was saying earlier about how my wife inspired me to write my stories, and I have been, and for a while, especially from December, from Christmas. Oh man, I have not really touched my typewriter from Christmas until today. Yeah, I would do the editing and retouches on my art and stuff for my books, but I haven't really actually been getting into my writing since before Christmas, and it's been a very trying past 5 months, 4 months, right? 5 months, yeah, 5 months, because it was part of Christmas too. It was just exhaustion, I'm just so darn tired. I'm thinking to myself, why is it that I'm so tired? And it's this place. And you're probably wondering, well, if you're off on Fridays, or if you're not supposed to be there on Fridays and you're there right now recording this, why are you putting yourself through this torture? And it's because on Friday, when I don't have any students, it's peaceful, it's quiet. I mean, the classroom is empty. I've just got me in here with my thoughts and me talking about ho'ihi, respect, and of course work being work, and just trying to express myself. I'm just expressing myself. This is just a freaking talk story, just so that you guys can get a better understanding of who I am and where I'm coming from with what I do. And I want to be in a happier place. I want to be in a place that I have more energy to do the things that I am passionate about. And unfortunately, this place, man, is just drawing so much out of me. Like, they are asking so much of the teachers nowadays. Like I said before, I feel like no longer I'm teaching. These kids have no respect. Well, I don't want to say all of them. There's still a handful. But you know, it's funny because back in the day, it was a handful of disrespectful kids that you had to constantly be on to keep them quiet so the class can move on. Now, it's only a handful of students who are willing to learn, and the rest of the kids are acting out. And it's so frustrating. It is so frustrating. I feel so bad because this whole lifestyle that we have nowadays, it is not conducive to a very healthy environment for anybody. You know, all of these poor kids are suffering at home. Then they suffer at school. Then they suffer at us because we're suffering. It's just a constant SHIT show. You know what I mean? So I continue to look for a path in my life that will be fulfilling and full of love and creativity. You know, I'm a very creative person. I love to make things. I love playing games. And I would play more games if I had the opportunity. But I just, you know, it's so funny because I haven't touched a video game in forever. And even the last one that I actually played was, I can't even remember the name of it, but it was a group of Scottish oil rig workers being attacked by some kind of alien force or something. Even that one is more of a story. So it was like watching more of a movie. It was less about, you know, problem solving and more about just enjoying a really well written story, you know. So I appreciated that, but I didn't really scratch that itch for, you know, playing a video game. And a lot of times I use that as a way to relieve stress. So, yeah, I noticed that with my kids too. I noticed that with my nephews. My nieces, they spend a lot of time on top of their devices, their mobile devices, and I see that repeating from when I was younger, and I used to jump on my Nintendo growing up to solve issues and help my brain relieve the stress of the week from being at school or whatever, anybody hounding me at home, yard work or whatever. I use that time to kind of alleviate that stress. And that brings me back to when I was in Pully Lanes with my grandparents when they used to work there, and how I used to go to the arcade area of the bowling alley and just watch people play games. I didn't have to play it. I just enjoyed being around the energy of them succeeding, them beating the bad guy, them conquering some kind of impossible task. And that made me feel good. It made me feel really good being around that energy, So, getting to my stories, I recently had my book released on Friday. Huwag ka ipo api level point. I love this story. I love all three of my stories. It smells so good to have a physical copy of my book. But I poured everything that I love and I hate. I love to hate, and I hate to love, into my books. It's who I am. It talks about things that, my stories talk about things that people would be like, oh, it's all fantasy. It's all make-believe. But in my culture, in Hawaii, this is not something that's fake. The Huaka'ipo, or the Night Marchers, exist. They can be seen, and they can be heard, and they can be found on the nights of Pokane. And this is something that's well known around these islands, even to today. Now, would I suggest going out there and looking for the Night Marchers? No. Because they're doing what they're doing because it's their passion, because it's something that they love doing. They're walking the mountain ridges, they're walking the kula, right, the plains. They're walking near the edge of the water, making sure that whatever they're doing is accomplished. They're doing their passion, right? And so, with my stories, not only do I put my own experiences, my own ghost tales, and my own experiences seeing the Night Marchers and experiencing pain, hate, and all these other kinds of emotions that a person experiences in their life. I put all of those things that I felt through my life inside these pages. And I made it into a compelling story, very compelling story. And it follows an individual that actually witnesses the Night Marchers, but is not sure whether or not it was something that happened for real, right? Because we have so many people in our lives that tell us that we either can't do something or we've never experienced something the way it should be experienced. Oh, you've never seen this until you tried it with that. Or you've never really truly lived until you tasted this or rode this type of vehicle or paid cash for your for whatever it is that you're buying of big money, your mortgage. You don't have no mortgage. You bought your house straight cash. Your life isn't worth living until you experience these huge experiences. It's like, no. People can have fantastic lives. They can live amazing lives if they stopped and found out what it is that they're passionate about. And then they move those passions into their daily life. Because we don't know if we're going to be alive 10 years from now. What do you want to do when you retire? Are you going to retire? Or are we just going to be stuck working all until we're 79 years old and we drop dead? Hey, it's no joke. I mean, I've been hearing stories. My sister works at Costco's. There have been people dropping dead. And it's not to disrespect them at all. No, it's not. It's to express my point. My point is, do you want to die working at Safeway Deli? Do you want to die pumping gas? Is that what you want to do? You want to pump gas all the way to your last days? Or do you want to actually experience something different in your life? I mean, if pumping gas is your cup of tea, like that's what gives you joy. Like, oh man, the fragrance I get from hitting that gas pump, to watching all these people drive off, man, that really fills it really scratches the itch deep within my heart, then fine, do it. That's your calling. But I mean, there's so many other people who just, can you imagine? Could you imagine going to the doctors to get surgery, and your freaking doctor is pissed off because, for one, the job is mistreating them because they've got all these other things that they got to do on the side to make the money that they need to survive, right? And then they come into the operating room like already with the stuff already on their mind, and they're just like irritated. Is it the kind of person you want working on you? Do you want that mana? Now, mana is it's a very real thing. Mana. Okay, mana is the energy. Yeah, some people call it ki, some people call it chi, some people call it prana, some people call it whatever it is, right? This spiritual energy that exudes off of us, aura, right? This energy that comes from us, it changes, it transforms how other things are. Like when a person who's working at Subway, I used to work at Subway, creates, as a sandwich artist, creates this beautiful masterpiece, right? They're putting their energy into this food. And you want somebody pilau who's pissed off with their boyfriend, who's mad at their boss, who had to work a double because this other person wanted to go surfing the day before. You think this person's energy is going to be going into your food and it's going to be maika iloa? You think it's going to be great? No, it's probably going to be pilau. Something going to be all dirty. When you eat them, you're going to feel like, like duru. You feel like kukai because someone else's energy was all pilau, all lepo. You don't want that kind of stuff on you. And I've gotten to the point where I feel like my energy is starting to get a bit tainted being here. And I don't want any of this pilau feeling to come off on any of these kids in this community. The kids love being at art. They love art. The kids love being with me because I try to have fun with them. I try to make it an enjoyable experience. But unfortunately, they require a lot. The bosses require a lot. Everybody requires a lot. The parents require a lot. They're expecting so much. But no one is willing to give. If anything, they're taking away. And that's something that I've been experiencing over the past 3 years. Is constantly taking away. And this year marks the end, for me anyway. It marks the end of my career being at this school. So you guys are hearing it for the first time, and you guys are hearing it in public right now, is I'm actually going to be leaving my school here, my job as an art instructor, among other things that I've done for these kids. Music, I used to teach them ukulele. I'm removing myself from this area so that someone else who is ready inside their heart to receive these children can pass on those blessings to them. But I don't think I have it in me to do it anymore. My passion is now lying within these pages. This is what I'm passionate about now. Telling a story that expresses my culture, my values, the things that I love and hate, and sharing these with others. And I've been getting some fantastic, beautiful words coming from the people who have been reading my stories. And this morning, when I came up, a young gal who had just recently picked up my story, didn't get a chance to read it. She read the first opening, and she knew it was something that she was going to get so into that she didn't want to start reading it yet. She left it on top of her counter, and her mom picked it up. Oh, what is this? She had the book for a short while, and she had already read through like a quarter of the book. She couldn't put it down. And she tells her daughter, this story is heavy. I can't put it down. And I got, when this teacher told me this young gal told me that, I got chicken skin, full body, on my cheeks, on my arms, my legs, on my butt cheeks. I got full body chills because I made somebody just as happy, just as intrigued as these games used to when I used to go to the arcade and watch others play them. That hit me right here. And I know that this is going to go a really long way as it touches more people, as I get more feedback. I'm shaking right now. My adrenaline is going because of how excited I am at the fact that people enjoy what I have to say. Because it seemed like all my life when I tried to speak up in class and growing up in a public school, how it seemed like my voice was always just trampled out. This is my time to shine, it feels like. You know, I found something that I'd never ever thought in my life I would ever get into. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I've only read 2 books in my life. Well, one book was kind of like a trilogy, but still. Tuck Everlasting. That's the one book that I was forced to read in high school because I was in a very special English level class. And the teacher who was there, loving guy, he challenged me. He says, read a book, any book. Read this one. I enjoyed this one. So he passed me this Tuck Everlasting, and I loved it. Loved the book. The other book, of course, I read after I exited high school on my own. That's the one that I chose to read, which was The Lord of the Rings. And that's because I just love stories that deal with fantasy. I love dragons. I love knights. I love castles. I love the Greek gods. I love all of those things. Magic, you know, like Harry Potter. I've never read Harry Potter, but things like that. Those are the kinds of things that really do it for me. And when I read the Lord of the Rings, I was like, this is fantastic. The way these people put these stories together and build this world, amazing. Of course, the reading was a little bit tough for me. The writing, you know, was a little bit hard for me to really see what was going on in the story. But because the characters and everything, you know, were moving to a certain way, and I wanted to kind of read them before the movies had come out, because the movies are coming out, and then I got to see all the differences between, you know, people used to complain all the time when we used to watch movies. It's like, it's not as good as the book. The book did this, the book had that character or whatever, this side story. And I'm like, well, you have more time to kind of explain things in a book. Movies only have an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to the point. Other than that, it's just like, you know, whatever. But yeah, I never ever in my wildest dreams had ever thought that I would be writing and to finish a novel. Not just one novel. I finished 3 novels. Pokane at Hemolelebe, Mo'ohine of Makalike Bridge, and Huakaipo at P Level Point. And I'm not done yet. I've got way more. This is an anthology. And each one of these stories are going to be something different. They're going to be talking about different paranormal aspects and culture in Hawaii. And I am freaking loving it. This is my passion. I can stay up till 5 in the morning writing. And I'm just like, when I go to sleep, I am smiles. This is the kind of thing we need to be doing more when we work. We need to go home smiling from our job. Oh man, I can't wait to go back tomorrow. That's how I felt going to the arcade. That's how I feel now about my book. I don't feel that way when I come to this school anymore. I don't feel that passion. I don't feel that happiness. I feel drained every day I come home from work. And that drainage, that toxic environment has been slowly seeping into my personal life. And it's making it difficult for me to even keep my eyes open when I get home. I still got girls that my girls that I gotta get home and feed. You know, we gotta make our dinner. And sometimes I'm just so exhausted. I tell my lovely wife, baby, I'm so sorry. I don't feel like cooking tonight. Can we go slide off to grab some McDonald's, some Mickey D's or something? Right? Just can't handle. I gotta get my rest. And then of course, you know, eating those kinds of food just make your body feel worse, and it's just that downward cycle, that downhill thing. You just anyway, I think I've lipped long enough. This video is full of a bunch of revelations now, right? A bunch of revelations. I am in love with something new. And I'll be leaving this beautiful environment that has supported me, not really, for the past 10 years. If anything, I supported the community. I provided so much, and I think it's enough. I think it's enough. Lava. Ulava ka Hana ike vahi. I'm just so done with giving to this community. I need to take back. I need to heal myself, make it better for me, make my life about me now, I've taken care of these kids long enough. I've watched and babysat these children, because a lot of times, man, it's like art was great, and then sooner rather than later, it started to become more like babysitting. Really did. So if you see a change in the environment within the next month or so, it's because I'm no longer here. Yeah. And it's not just because of the summer break. Because even in the summer breaks, my wife and I would work with the school for the summer programs. But, nah, that's it. This place has already squeezed every last ounce of creativity, passion, drive, and happiness out of my heart. And although I'm going to miss some of the families, and although I'm going to miss some of the staff, I need to go because I think I would miss myself a lot more, and my family would miss me a lot more if I died because of all the stress. Just like all these other poor souls that are trying to earn their money here and make their living, and dying at the register, dying at the pump, dying at the wheel. Yep. I don't want to be a casualty and having absolutely nothing to show for my life in way of happiness for myself. I finally found something that I'm truly happy about. It gives me pride. Gives me happiness and a sense of accomplishment, something that I never thought I'd ever do. Amazing. And I pray, I'm sending out my mana, sending out my light to you guys who are watching this video, that you guys are finding something that you're passionate about, so that the mana that comes from your hands heal and make others happy in their lives, so that they can also send their mana to other people, so that they can heal and feel happy in their lives, so that one day you meet a stranger on the road when you need something, you need help, and that person comes to your aid and gives you back all that love, all that passion from their mana because of that change that you made in your life. We all affect each other. We're all part of the same body. And just like our great King Kamehameha said, one heart, one mind, one love. Right? So I just wanted to say thank you guys for stopping by. I'm sorry I didn't have any real ghost stories to tell you this time. But it does explain why I've been gone for the past few weeks and why it's taking me so long to bring another Mo'olelo Monday to you. And for those of you that stuck around this long, I love you. And I hope everything is going well for you. And just keep going. Keep going and make sure that you find time to love yourself so that you can love others. Okay? Aloha kako, ahui ho.